Hello, Guardians. Welcome back to Tower Casuals, the Destiny podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Corey Deergan. Alongside me, as always, is the one, the only hole in the middle of a planet, Josh Finney.
Yeah, hi, Corey.
Hi, Josh.
Oh, boy. Yeah, unexpectedly busy week.
Yeah.
In Destiny. We kind of thought that this week was just going to be some light speculation on the upcoming expansion reveal. Thought we'd do a little bit of War Corner. We had a request to talk about the Division sidearm this week, which we're going to hold off on for one more week. I'm sorry, Ronnie. We're gonna hit the Afterlife Fusion instead this week.
I thought you were going to stop at the Division.
Yeah.
Like, who's playing the Division?
Log on Tuesday afternoon to find out that there's a chessboard we can interact with. There's an ARG going on and everything, and real Corridors of Time vibe going on over here. But goddamn, it was so cool. It between this and the marathon stuff that they've been doing, like, it just feels like classic Bungie. And something we're gonna kind of get into a discussion about a little bit later is, like, it's great and all, but can we keep riding these hype coasters up and down? So I guess we'll just start with let's start with the obvious. We'll get to the Twid later. You're obviously getting a Tower Casuals next Tuesday. What form that takes, I don't know if we've quite decided yet. If we'll record Tuesday night or if I'll try and do something just immediately after the showcase. So you're getting some raw, unfiltered opinions, and then
Raw, he says.
Full opinions for later in the week. But yeah, raw,
right up in there, raw.
Right, just right up in there.
You're entering the Traveler's pink triangle, Josh.
We are not entering the Travelosi, Corey. We have moved beyond the Travelosi, clearly to the Traveler bungle hole. Edge of Fate officially is getting its reveal on Tuesday, along with the drop of the Rite of the Nine activity. Clearly, everything has been set. The stage has been set for this to be a 9-themed expansion. I guess let's just go ahead and get some initial thoughts out of the way about what this could be. What are we going to see here? They say it's the upcoming year of Destiny, so I do wonder if we get the proper name for codename Behemoth here as well, or at least like some idea of what shape Behemoth will take, because I think that I think this is a year where you're going to have to kind of show a little bit of both and clearly distinctualize what is part of Edge of Fate and what is part of Behemoth to make up the overall year, which the name of the year has leaked, supposedly. I personally was not able to backtrace to the URL from the Bungie store, but the Bungie store supposedly has leaked it early. And there are some teaser things that were floating around on Instagram that leaked out early, as well as some marketing that accidentally got posted early. We're not going to go into next. We don't go into the leaked content, but it really does feel like the 9 might be the focus of like the next couple of years of Destiny. They're really, aside from the Vex, they're kind of the big mystery right now, right? Yeah. The 9 have been shrouded in mystery ever since Xur first set foot in the tower, that fateful first week of Destiny 1. And we were getting some decent lore there for a while. And then suddenly after Joker's Wild, it just kind of stopped, with the exception of the Prophecy Dungeon.
Yeah.
We really didn't get a ton after that. We got like little mentions here and there, but Joker's Wild definitely is the most consequential in terms of the development. We find out the 9 gave Drifter the Hall. They set Skolas free at one point. Drifter is playing the game for them, so it's fitting that he's tied into all the chess pieces. Really wonder if Drifter is going to be... We've thought this for a while, that Drifter was going to be one of the key NPCs going forward, but I wonder if he's going to be the NPC, kind of taking the role that like Cade and later Zavala had in the Light and Dark saga.
Yeah, especially if it seems like we're leaving the Sol system, or at least the front half of it, right?
So, addressing that, I want to reference the ARG that we just had. I'm glad you brought this up organically, Corey.
You're welcome.
The ARG led us to a site called aeonarchives.net, AION. And oh boy, there was a lot of stuff. When you put in some of these digits, some of these codes, you got some information, and there's some juicy bits here that I want to get into. This is compiled from a post on r/Destiny lore over on Reddit. They did a more comprehensive job of gathering everything than I could have ever hoped to. So let's start. What is Aeon exactly? Okay, because I think that this is actually going to be pretty central to what we're going to talk about with the DLC. In Vesper's host, the station AI says the following line of dialogue. I've got the archive of Dr. Bray's published staff memos, petabytes of data in the raw files, Rasputin, Stoneworm protocols, the Aeon Initiative, Soteria. I had siblings this whole time and you never let me know. So this initiative, obviously, connected to Clovis Bray. Now, that's fascinating itself. Aeon stands for Apollo Intratemporal Observation Network. One of the things that you get, one of the little lore tidbits it gives you is the Apollo Intertemporal Observation Network, hereafter Aeon, takes its name from the old Greek god of prophecy and truth. Where have we heard that before? Prophecy is the name of the dungeon in the realm of the Nine. Our founder.
I was going to say Halo, but
our founder is especially fond of chess, calling it a bloodless way to test a person's mettle. And then it's just like a whole bunch of random letters and numbers. Has survived countless years of human civilization, and indeed many cultures have some manner of representative war game. Scientists are encouraged to play and observe how the game becomes conversation. Now, here's the part that is interesting to me. Judging from all this, the operation was carried out to study planets beyond Neptune in the Oort cloud. Special input 004. The Oort cloud, sometimes known as the optic Oort cloud, was proposed by Dutch astronomer Jan Oort. And certain trans-Neptunian objects cluster in ways not explicable by the gravity asserted on them by currently known solar bodies. If, however, there were another planet-sized object obscured from our sight in some manner, the gravity it would exert would explain the tilting and the clustering of these objects. In fact, we can calculate the size of the planet required down to the... And then... there is a place, error, we have seen it. Error, failure, special input 007. Alert, two occasions of scientific dishonesty in the history of our organization, each of which lost years of progress. Each instance will be recorded on the along with its consequences and reasons to remind all future scientists of the weight. So, what we can glean from all this and what this post ultimately surmises, and this was from Zelwer and user Zelwer and Posadas Dolphin, who collected all this information. It appears that Aeon was studying a planet in the Oort cloud that has temporal instabilities. So, I want to bring this up because if you have completed, and I'm assuming anybody listening to this at least has seen the cutscene that came out this morning for completing the final puzzle. There's 27 puzzles that can correspond to the ARG. When you finish the final one in game, the final chess puzzle, you unlock a shitload of rewards, including a really awesome ship in the aesthetic of the weapons. It's peeled back, you see the bone, a cool emblem, a Taken shader. After all these years, we get a Taken shader. And then you get a cutscene, and it's the Guardian aboard Drifter's ship with half of a chess piece, and Drifter has the other piece. And he starts talking about it and basically talking about fate and how after Eris's death, he tried running to the edges of the solar system. He didn't want to see the moon anymore, as he says it. And there's a pulse that comes out of a cloud and planet looking thing, and time seems to stop and flow a little bit differently aboard Drifter's ship at that point in time. And he basically says, when he holds up the chess piece, he says, somebody's throwing rocks at our window, Guardian. Or Hero, I guess. He always calls us Hero. And the Guardian just kind of nods in affirmation. Basically, he's like, something's coming. I love when Destiny injects real-world science and astronomy into the game. Not everything needs to be fictional. I thought it was really cool that we went to Europa. I think it's really cool that, the Dreadnought has rested within the rings of Saturn all these years. I think it's very, very, very cool that the reef is basically hidden in the asteroid belt post-collapse. I think doing things like that has always been really cool. And then Neptune, the idea of Neptune hiding this ultra advanced civilization that kind of escaped the darkness coming is awesome. That's a really, 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 really cool concept that I feel like we didn't get explored enough is the problem.
Mhm.
So if this is real, this would be interesting because this would kind of be our gateway to going to things outside of the Sol system. This would be the very fringes of known space, essentially.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I mean,
It's a very cool concept, and I feel like when we go back to what they've said about Frontiers in the past, about specifically this first campaign being inspired by Metroidvanias and having a lot more exploration emphasis and environmental storytelling, I really feel like being on a planet where temporal disruptions are happening is a really cool concept. Imagine a raid with that, right? Like to a greater degree than Vault of Glass, obviously.
yeah.
Something like that is really, really cool. We've been in plenty of raids where like we see the environment change. Like, we backtrack a lot in Ron, for instance. I think something like that could be really, really cool. There's a lot of potential here, I think.
Yeah.
But doing a whole ARG around this is a really, really cool way to get the hardcore members of the community, like especially the lore community, really involved with this.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out to everyone who was putting this puzzle together. Everybody was given a frequency code and a special board that they could go post as part of this when they finished it. There are a few puzzle solvers out there. I know there's an exhaustive list of people who were doing this. Many veterans from the first Corridors of Time. Two of the ones I was watching a lot, either their summation videos or them actually trying to solve it, were Milo, who, if you don't know Milo is fairly new to the Destiny scene. Makes a lot of Call of Duty Zombies content. ROFL Waffles. You've probably seen him around. He's gotten really invested in Destiny really, really fast. Loves ARGs, things like that. Him and Scarrow were doing a lot of stuff. I personally watched Scarrow's video. When this got solved at like 6 o'clock this morning, not even kidding, like 5:45, 6 o'clock is when my phone starts dinging, people telling me that the ARG was done. So of course had to go check out that awesome cutscene right away. So I feel like the 9 are probably the focus. I don't think they're necessarily the antagonists, but I think a member of the 9 could be an antagonist here.
Yeah,
or the overarching saga that we're about to start.
Yeah, I wonder, like, you know how we kind of talked about how they're kind of split down the middle weeks ago. I wonder if one of them just betrays the rest of them altogether at some point. And then the two sides have to come together and use the Guardian to solve this problem.
Yeah, I'm interested to see who the main NPCs of this are going to be. Because I feel like Osiris should be, but we've had so much focus on Osiris and seasonal content that I almost don't want Osiris to be.
Yeah.
Same with Crow. It's funny, we're going to explore uncharted territory, so you think the Hunter Vanguard should be involved in this. He very much has taken Cade's place, I think, in terms of like being the character that we identify with the most, and like clearly Brendan O'Neill is here to stay. Like he's not going away at all.
Right.
I hope that we see a lot of this through, and I don't even want to see it through Drifter or through Eris. I want to see it through Drifter. Because if this is involving the 9, Drifter has to be intimately involved with this. Like he still doesn't know the purpose of the game. That's part of the lore on the new ship. He still doesn't know what the purpose of Gambit is, which is a very funny meta commentary on the state of it, I think.
Yeah,
but I really think that we're going to need this. I think we're about to get a big lore dump as part of Rite of the 9 next week. Also, that's very clearly being set up not just to be like something like Pantheon, which Pantheon is just the in-lore reason or in-game reason was it was simulations to help us prepare to fight the Witness, right?
Mm-hmm.
But Rite of the 9 feels like it's going to be set up as a way for the 9 to challenge us, to see if we're worthy, right?
Right.
Like they've been observing us all this time. I'd love to meet other members of the 9. There's a few other really good posts that I was seeing on Destiny lore. where they were talking about members of the Nine. Like they think that the 8th log hints at who the 9th member of the Nine is, which is really interesting to me. There's a theory going around right now that maybe the planets, each of the planets represent the Nine, and like this is the secret like ninth planet, because Pluto is not technically a planet, which is kind of great that planet X or something is it. I think that's great. This is an actual astrophysicist theory about Planet X, by the way. So,
which is cool.
I think that that's absolutely fascinating. So, I think that's really, really cool. There's a theory that the 9 might be the 8 now. I'm wondering. So clearly, if you've played the end of the season, like, and you've read some of the lore, specifically the Division sidearm is really good on this. So I want to wait until after the reveal to read this one, see if we get any sort of like clues as to where we're going. There is a new master of the Taken, and it's not Xivu and it's not Savathun. Who is it? Because it's not the Witness. The Witness is dead. Who is it? And I think the theory that some people have had this season may prove to be correct, that it's probably a member of the 9, maybe a dissenting member of the 9, who has just grown tired of this.
Yeah.
Or like a faction of the 9, like maybe they see like with the Witness gone, like, oh, there's a balance, there's a power vacuum in the universe now. We are told that much at the end of the final shape. Perhaps there's something else at play here.
Yeah.
Somebody else I'd really like to see take center stage in this, if this is a 9 expansion, Xur. I think Xur has to get some characterization here. We need to know. I think doing a journey and a character study of Xur would be fascinating. Long Destiny's greatest mystery, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
What does he truly mean when he says his will is not his own? Right. What does he truly mean by that is, I think, a fascinating question.
Yeah, it's definitely a question that should probably be answered. Just because he's been around for literally since the beginning and we know nothing about him.
Yeah. I did love the fan theory for a long time there that he was actually Fenchurch. And we know he's not Fenchurch, but I mean, hey, if we're dealing with temporal displacement here, what if it is? That would be a fascinating way to bring Fenchurch onto the screen.
I mean, it would be like we didn't know Banshee was Clovis Bray until we did.
You can always retcon things. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Especially in a game that deals with people out of time like Elsie. So
right. Or like playing with timelines like they are in the mobile game theoretically, right? Like
I kind of wonder if Elsie needs to be a part of this. You would think that if Aeon was started, I don't know how to pronounce it, so I'm just going to call it Aeon for now. I would assume that Anna has to be part of that. Anna and Elsie probably need to be part of that storyline at some point, maybe not right away, but at some point in this year of storytelling, maybe the seasonal content, they need to be a part of it. Uncovering why Clovis had this initiative going. What was Clovis's purpose in doing this? I think that would be really, really good. But I think my biggest question, like going into this, is like not only like who is going to be set up to be the big bad, because I think you're probably going to have somebody you beat in the expansion, but there's going to be an overarching big bad for this next saga. They've already said this will not be as long as Light and Dark, and that's good because there's a good chance this is the last saga for like Destiny as a whole. Honestly, I don't know if we're making it another 4 years. That's not me being pessimistic, that's me being realistic at this point.
Especially if Marathon doesn't hit, right? Like
that's a whole nother subject. But I want to, in regards to the expansion, I do want to bring up a couple of questions that we had about this that people wrote in about. So let me flip over to my questions tab here real fast. First of all, we got asked Fox comes in and asks in the trailer for Edge of Fate, there was a focus on Kepler, but newest cutscene Chicago is teased. Do you think we're going to Kepler or old Chicago or both? I think y'all gotta give up on the old Chicago theories. I
Yeah,
think you have to. Like, if they were to do something at this point, I feel like it would be a dungeon or a raid. I just nothing about that in a world of science fiction, and you can literally go anywhere and do anything with these characters and like these destinations. Nothing about staying on Earth interests me.
yeah. I mean, it's a, and this isn't a dig at Fox at all, but like, it's if you, it's a game about space magic and exploration, and yes, on one hand, it is interesting to see what the rest of the world, what the rest of Earth looks like theoretically, but like they've had 10 years to do that. We've explored the solar system pretty extensively. Let's, let's see worlds that we don't know about, you know.
Yeah. So I want to bring up. When people are talking about Kepler, Kepler is the, you know, the planet. That's the planet with the hole in it. That's what it's theorized to be. Blah blah blah. We see 15 Kepler. You see Chicago in it. Um, Kepler 15 is an actual star. Okay, like it was discovered, the exoplanet Kepler 15. I'm reading this from Reddit. I don't know how to pronounce this person's name, but they posted it 9 days ago. I'm reading their comprehensive summary here. Exoplanet Kepler 15 was discovered in 2011 by NASA's Kepler mission. Its confirmation included additional observations using the Hobby Eberly telescope. It is a star system located in the constellation Cygnus, similar to our sun, but older and with a higher concentration of heavy metal. Orbiting around it is the exoplanet 15b, which is a hot Jupiter, meaning a gas giant planet that orbits very close to the star, resulting in extremely high temperatures. It's Bungie could be intentionally using this real astronomical reference, perhaps as a sign of a new phase in the Destiny 2 storyline. I think that that's interesting. I think Kepler is much more interesting than going to Chicago. I want to be really, really clear on that. I think it's way more interesting. Also, should be noted, the Exodus Black was originally going for Kepler way back when it was setting on its mission.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that is on the Impact Velocity Sparrow from Curse of Osiris.
Mm-hmm.
It talks about going out there. It's conversation with Failsafe and Captain Jacobson as part of it. But yeah, that was its destination. So I find that to be really fascinating. That would be a really, really, really cool uh way around. It's also mentioned in the Exodus Down chest piece. Captain Jacobson specifically says, adjust course 2 degrees. That's a long way to Kepler dash 186, folks. We don't have time to tour Nessus. So I think that is just absolutely fascinating. If we're coming back around to that, we know Bungie likes to tease things in advance, and they did say that there would be things happening specifically in Heresy to set up what's going to happen. And what we now know is Edge of Fate. And I don't know if they just mean like the chess game ARG, or if they mean Rite of the Nine. Like, I kind of feel like we didn't do a ton of setup here this season outside of those activities. So they said they were going to start laying some seeds and some hints in Revenant, and I must just be dumb. I don't know what it could have been other than the fact that we know that Aramis left the star system with the Echo, right?
Yeah.
Um, other so yeah, I don't want to burst your bubble, Fox. I know that you rushed to get this question in, but yeah, I don't really think I don't think we're going to Chicago. Going to Chicago would be really boring to me for anything other than like maybe an exotic mission or a dungeon at this point. I think dungeons should be used for one-off locations like that. Like, I really like how Warlord's Ruin was handled. I like how you go back to the arcology for Ghosts of the Deep and things of that nature. I really like that. Going to the Vesper Station, that's cool. These locations that we're just not going to go to again, that's what I think a dungeon should be.
Yeah.
Chicago, if it was like that, would be fine. I don't want it to be an explorable zone. Holy shit, I do not want this to be an explorable zone if it ever happens.
Right.
But it could be a tease. I don't know. People way smarter than me are going to have great theories on it this weekend, I'm sure, and into next week. But I will remind everybody, remember, everybody was dead convinced that Witch Queen was going to take place in Old Chicago, and then the Throne World was thrown at us. So who knows? I think that would be kind of an interesting way to like kind of bounce back and forth between like fake destination, real destination. Like we've kind of had that for several years now.
Mm-hmm.
Because going all the way back to like Forsaken takes place in the asteroid belt and then the Dreaming City. So you kind of had both there. Shadowkeep is the moon.
Mm-hmm.
Beyond Light is Europa. Witch Queen is the throne world. Then you go to Neptune and then you go inside the Traveler to the Pale Heart. I kind of like that cadence of we're going to bounce back and forth between real and like fictional.
Yeah.
And when we do real, we're going to put our own spin on it, quite obviously.
Yeah, I've been, you said that and it kind of sparked a thought in my mind, Josh, where now I don't want it to take place in old Chicago, right? But what if we have to go there to, maybe there's some sort of like wormhole warp point that they've found, or, you know, one of the nine have something hidden there that allows them to jump between, almost like a mass relay essentially from Mass Effect.
I mean, that could be an interesting way to do it. Maybe like the temporal anomaly allows us to travel like that. That could be really cool. Or we get some tech to upgrade our ships.
Yeah.
That
Or
would
even
be
if, even
real
if it's just
interesting.
like this, the one of the new social zones is there to, I don't know.
Yeah. I think there's plenty here that you can do. It's a question of how much are they going to be able to do, because we also have to remember these are supposed to be smaller scale expansions.
Mm-hmm.
But they've emphasized that they want replayability on these campaigns now, so that kind of gives me some hope here, some wiggle room.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but yeah, really interesting stuff, just rooted in base theory. I don't really have too much beyond that for what I think that this expansion could be.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm not particularly concerning myself with it because I'm just really excited, which kind of leads me into Ronnie's question. Ronnie had a question for us where he asked, guys, we're always on the hype train roller coaster. We're back. We might be over. We're back. We might be over. Do you guys think there's an actual way for Bungie and Sony to fix this feeling, or is it the stigma of the D2 fan base now?
I I think it's a I think it's a little bit of both actually, right? Because like
Sure.
to be fair, we as a community, as Tower Casuals community, don't play Destiny the way that, you know, quote unquote normal people do, right?
Sure.
And I think if you play a couple hours a week, or, you know, maybe 10 or 12 hours a week, that there's a lot of content here for those types of people who play it like that here.
Mm-hmm.
I think we consume so much all at once that we burn out and don't want to admit it.
Mm-hmm.
And then when we do all the content, and the leveling grind starts to, you know, slow down quite a bit, and, you know, we've grinded for all the exotics and all the gear that we want, or, you know, finally going after those grandmasters and everything else, that like, yeah, you're gonna be bored after a while, right? And so, you know, I think that's when we have to look at it and ask if it's really on a downslope. But also then you get things like Lightfall, which wasn't great, and Shadowkeep, which wasn't great, and some of the seasonal things aren't great. So, you know, I do think it's a little bit of both. uh I would say it's more of the latter than the former. So, you know, more on the quality of the content in general, to keep people around to be excited for. But also, I know the way that we consume Destiny is not a normal person's way of consuming Destiny.
Yeah, and I think that that's definitely fair. For me, I do think that there is a way to stop it, but it's so much easier to say than to actually do it, because my solution is kind of the same it's been for a long time. You need to expand seasonal content. You need to not take content out of this game as willy-nilly as you do. You got to build more sustainable content that can be used. And I know that was the purpose with Battlegrounds, but like Battlegrounds, while they're great in practice and in theory, they feel really bad when that's the thing you're getting for a seasonal event at this point in the game's life cycle. Like if you had been doing that when seasons first started, like with Undying and like Dawn and things like that, I don't think we would have had as much of a problem. They were cool when they were first introduced, and then I've been on the soapbox before. They started becoming a crutch and an excuse to give us less and less content. And that really frustrates me because I don't know about you, but I would rather the team that's making Battlegrounds make strikes related to the expansion content or be building sustainable, repeatable missions that we can be doing that advance the narrative. I do like the Battlegrounds tell a story, and they're a way to keep some of those stories alive, especially Risen. I think the Risen Battlegrounds, the Hive ones are just the Loose and Hive ones, chef's kiss. I think those are great. That's a way to keep the Risen narrative alive.
Right.
But having now understanding that you have the Keitel Battlegrounds from Chosen, you have the Risen Battlegrounds, you have Seraph Battlegrounds, you have what was the Mara season? I'm trying not to call it Overture because that's not what it's called, but whatever came out with the Lightfall. Whatever came out with the Lightfall one, it's been a week, guys. I got really, really tired of seeing fucking Battlegrounds all the time. And then, look at this. We got 3 more with Echoes. And it just doesn't...
Wish? Season of the Wish?
I don't think we got any Wish, because we got Coil and Wish. We loved Coil. After that Mara season, they really stepped back on the Battlegrounds, which was nice. But for like, out of like 6 seasons in a row, we got Battlegrounds like 4 of them, like 4 out of 6 seasons. And it just starts to feel really bad when that was the only thing we were getting in seasons. I think seasonal content has got to be more sustainable. It's got to be here for the longer haul, especially if you're just going to 2 seasons and 2 small expansions for a whole 12-month stretch. You gotta have more. Like, I love the idea behind adding content to the raid after it's been out for about 8 or 9 weeks, which is what it seems like the timeline will probably be on that. I sure hope it's not any longer than that. Them saying that we're going to get into the light style updates, again, sounds great on paper, but what does that actually mean? Are you going to give us actual meaningful activities, or is it just going to be like a loot refresh and like, oh, here's a new artifact and a new paid rewards pass, right? Because that's all it's going to be. It's not sustainable. How does seasonal content look going forward? This is all stuff that we need to have answered on Tuesday. What do seasons look like going forward? What do season passes look like? There's just going to be reward passes now because seasons are supposedly free. Like, what does that look like going forward? Only getting 1 raid and 1 dungeon per calendar year feels kind of bad, honestly. But we're getting another Pantheon next year. We're getting updates to the raid after it's been out for a little while. Like, I do like those ideas, and I think that will keep people cycling in and coming back. I think getting more fun party PvP modes in there, like heavy metal, I think that might just be a novelty mode. I don't know how often we're going to see that one, honestly, but if it's in the rotation with like Mayhem, Rift, and Team Scorched and a couple others, give me another mode or 2 like that in there and always have a party playlist up. Just have a party playlist. Don't even make it rotate week to week. Just have a party playlist.
Yep.
That's like one of the best things I could possibly tell you to do. Other than that, I think like Rite of the Nine, from the little bit that I was able to play when it accidentally leaked out, I think things like Rite of the Nine and Pantheon, those are important for your harder core player base. But also, it's clear they want everyone playing Rite of the Nine, and that it's going to serve a narrative purpose because they've got that like handhold walk you through it mode for the dungeons. Right. And that's a really cool idea. I need to see how it actually pans out. I honestly can't wait to go do one of those and see how the tooltips are. I kind of want to take someone in who's never done dungeons and see how they react to it. Because I think that would be really cool to see that through a new player or like a player who hasn't played in a few years, see it through their eyes.
Right.
You know, someone who doesn't normally engage at the end game, and it's clear like they know what their audience is. They know their audience is here for the end game. They're here for the ARGs and the grinding and things like that. Like, and that's fine. It's just, if you're going to do that, like you do have to have a hype cycle keep going. We can't just be like, okay, well, like it's one thing to be like, oh, well, there's not really content coming out. That's fine. It's another thing to have content coming up like Echoes, and Revenant, and it be bad content.
Right.
That's the cycle we keep falling into. Like we'll have like a decent expansion, or like maybe we have a lackluster expansion. Like let me use Witch Queen as an example. Witch Queen comes out, it's awesome. Risen, one of the best seasons that we had gotten. We were coming off this incredible high post Beyond Light, where seasons really came into their own. Like Hunt, not a great season, but we got that awesome Hawkmoon mission. We got the Crow introduced. We got all this great lore. And then you go into Chosen, which was unlike anything we'd had for seasonal content at the time. Chosen, Splicer, and Lost all in a row. If you were to ask people to name their top 5 or 6 seasons, I'm pretty sure that 2 or 3 of those are on that list pretty easily. You go into Risen, continuing a really strong run, and maybe the second best expansion they ever did. Maybe. Yeah. Like it's at least 2A, if nothing else, 2A or 2B, if at the very least. So you've got that. You got one of the best raids they'd ever done. You come out of that into Haunted, and that's where a lot of us started feeling the fatigue. And we're like, okay, that's where the cycle really starts for me, is Haunted. Because it was an exhausting activity that wasn't a lot of fun. It was very grindy. I still don't have all the weapon patterns from that season, and that was how many years ago now? It's the only season I've never gotten all the patterns from. And for whatever reason, they will not sell the weapons that I need. But you have that. Then you had Plunder, and that's where I see people all the time be like, oh my god, Plunder. Plunder was bad. Plunder was so bad, I stopped playing for a while.
Yeah.
But then you bounce back with Seraph, which was the ultimate, oh my god, we're back moment. Because this is the cycle that they've gotten into. Like, oh, we'll have something like really lackluster, because like then you go into Lightfall, which big letdown in Lightfall, right? You have that. You have, I'm just going to call it the Mara Sov season. You have the Mara Sov season. It's not Oppression.
Is it Defiance?
Defiance! Oh my god. I tried Overture. I tried Oppression. Jesus Christ. So you have Defiance, which had the potential for a really cool narrative, and it just fell completely flat on its face outside of like the Devrim moments. Amanda Holliday's death hits like, a wet pool noodle. You have
forgot. I'm not gonna lie to you. I 100% forgot about Amanda.
I try to forget about Amanda. you have Deep, which explored some cool ideas, but like overall, I think we were all ready to see Deep go, especially Wicked Implement. I think we were all ready to see that mission go away. It being timed was a huge pain in the dick. You get Witch, which I think Witch was cool, but the activities were again lacking.
Yeah.
And then you get Wish, which has arguably the best activity we've ever gotten outside of Nether. I would say Nether's the best we've ever gotten. You get Coil, which is one of the most rewarding activities we'd had up to that point, if not the most. And it's awesome, but its impact is strained by the fact that it's a 6-month season, and we were done with everything in January except for the final cutscene. That's all we were missing. We were missing the scene where Crow actually jumps through the portal. That's all we were missing, basically, until 2 weeks before Final Shape. And like, yeah, we got Into the Light at some point, but Into the Light's its own thing. As far as I'm concerned, that's a 5th season.
Yeah.
The way that they used to do seasons. And then we get this incredible expansion. We get the Final Shape. It wraps up so many threads. It answers so many questions about the Destiny universe. It gives us, in my opinion, its best raid. We get a kick-ass dungeon in the months after, but we get Echoes, which is a wet pool noodle in terms of like exposition and whatnot. Yeah, we get the Maya Sundaresh stuff, but you had to listen to so much audio logs just to get that. Yeah. And then you get Revenant, which should have been a home run season, and outside of a really cool cutscene, it's up there with Plunder in terms of disappointment.
For me, it's like 100% worse than Plunder.
It's like, in terms of my disappointment, in terms of the expectations I had going into it, it's like on the level of Hunt.
Yeah. Oh god, Season of the Hunt. Oh my gosh. But
Hunt had amazing lore. It had amazing lore. It had a kick-ass. The Hawkmoon mission is awesome. Like, that's when we're introduced to Crow. Spider came back into the story. Like, there were so many cool things that they actually did with Hunt. It's just Wrathborn hunts were like 90 seconds long.
Yeah.
They were a joke. So, like, And then you come out of that, like my enthusiasm, I made it really clear on this show. I talked to you about it. I was not shy about talking about it with members of our community that my enthusiasm was at an absolute all-time low.
Yeah.
Ronnie and I were even talking like neither of us was particularly hyped. And then we were like, ah, shit, are we back? Like, Heresy's really fucking good. And I think it was really great until they like tripped at the 99-yard line or the 1 yard line, excuse me. They tripped at the 1 yard line and
It's like
fumbled the football out the back of the end zone with the end of the season.
I was going to say, it's like those college plays you see where the college kids
It's an
celebrating
absolutely
early.
awesome mission that you do, and then it just ends.
Yeah.
It's like fucking Shadowkeep again. It just ends.
Yeah, I also think the lack of voice acting
It definitely hurt.
hindered it, right? I mean, it's not anybody's fault except for the people that won't pay the actors, but fairly, not Bungie. I'm,
Sure.
The whatever.
It's a union thing, and like, hey, listen, you guys have heard me preach. Unions, baby, unions.
So I think that probably hit the season a little bit harder than it should have, but yeah, I agree with you. I think it kind of fizzled, but these seasons, like, it's like most of the time you either get like a really good story and lacking the content, or really good content and lacking the story, or
very rarely
once in a while you get Revenant.
This, I feel like and I'm not going to say it's a shame that they're getting rid of episodes, because you're certainly not going to see me shed any fucking tears over it, but I feel like they finally got it nailed down for like a good system, and like it won't, episodes simply wouldn't work with their new system. But if you're going to take the idea of episodes and expand it a little bit more, give me like 25-30% more maybe, and I don't know how sustainable that is, but give me about that much more, and you have the makings of something that can survive a 6-month season. Drop a new activity every couple of weeks, every like 4 to 6 weeks, drop something new for us to go grind for those of us who play this all the time. Just as we're getting, and that's where I think Heresy was really great. Just as you were getting sick of an activity, bam, something else is dropping. And I think that was always the idea with episodes. Every 6 weeks, they were trying to drop something. Doing the short act 2 for Heresy, great move, especially knowing you had nothing else in the tank. For Heresy, it's really Rite of the Nine, let's be honest, but you couldn't hold this story until Rite of the Nine. Right. You couldn't hold the conclusion of this. You needed to wrap it up. Like, oh yeah, cool, it makes sense. We got Barodiad right at the beginning of the season, which was kind of cool. Even finding that mission is one of the more enjoyable experiences I've had this year. I think it's a really cool idea. Just don't do that for every fucking exotic. Just like not every exotic needs to be craftable. But that would be my solution, I think. Like, expand upon the idea of episodes. Like, Heresy should be your blueprint. And a big engaging activity to kick off with. Maybe it doesn't even need to kick off with it, because when you're launching a season, it's presumably going to launch like a week after you've done the expansion and after the raids come out. Do some kind of activity that's going to get people playing. It needs to be a group activity. No, you cannot drop the exotic mission right there. Drop something 4 to 6 weeks later, and then 4 to 6 weeks after that. By the time you've hit the 4 to 6 week cycle on that third activity, even if it's just a exotic mission, you're coming up on their refresh, their in-season refresh, which is supposed to be when you get your Into the Light style drop, and you get the artifact refreshed and a new pass and things like that. That would be a great timeline, I think.
Yeah, I'm also thinking of
and this content needs to stay in there permanently. It's free now. It needs to fucking stay.
Yeah, I'm also thinking of if you need something to drop right at the beginning of an episode or a season or whatever, like maybe you do like a tiered drop system where like you think of something like Old Court of Oryx or Prison of Elders, right? Where like you have that like first and second tier style of the mode, right? But then you get like that hard tier where the boss comes out type thing. And I'm not saying like,
sure,
it doesn't have to be like a boss that you have to fight, but like that's where like the real loot is that last tier. And like maybe you drop each tier, like first tier launches with it so people get used to the activity. Second tier comes out like a week later, and then the third, like the real tier, like the hardcore tier, I guess I don't know what you call it, but would launch, and that would be like where the loot is, where the grinding gets at, like, maybe there's an exotic mission tied to it.
Yeah, for all my complaining about the destinations the last couple of years, I actually think that's one of the things they did good on Neomuna. I actually think Terminal Overload was a pretty decent activity in terms of like an open world thing that anybody can join.
Mm-hmm.
The partitions a little bit less so. That
Mm-hmm.
was a little annoying. I absolutely love Overthrow in Pale Heart. It's just I didn't love Overthrow after I'd done it 100 times, like any activity in this game. But I think you kind of hit the nail on the head. You got to have an activity in the season, so when they launch, because presumably you're launching this a week or two after the raid is when you're going to start the actual season. I cannot
Mm-hmm.
fathom dropping it the same day as an expansion anymore.
Yeah.
But it should instead it should build upon what you just had and help bridge. If you're only going to have one season, it should bridge the content from Edge of Fate and its raid to what Behemoth is going to be, and your Into the
Mm-hmm.
Light thing should help set up the story of Behemoth, in my opinion.
Right.
But I think that's how you keep people engaged, at least those who
Mm-hmm.
really care about the story and the PvE aspect. I have no idea how you
Right.
keep PvP engaged anymore. I
No,
have no idea.
I've
Nothing is
kind of
working.
I've kind of given up about that.
I think they have too. Marathon is coming.
Yeah, I think Marathon is going to be their competitive thing, but uh I think also, like, you look at these activities, right, and like I said, that tier system, maybe you start introducing, because you want people to engage in the dungeons and the raids too, right? So, like,
Sure.
what if you start, I mean, they've done this before, right? Especially in the Final Shape did a really great job, but introduce like the simplified mechanics of what you could do in the dungeon or the raid in these activities, and
Mhm.
then maybe you add like another mechanic as the tiers grow, right? Or
Yeah.
um, I don't know, something to that effect, or like maybe there's like a secret door you can't get past, like in the past, and the harder tier, if you get there in a certain time or do it in a certain way, like you get to open the door and it gives you.
I think more community puzzles also would be great. More
Yeah.
community goals. Like, I know that everybody likes to meme on Corridors of Time, but that was one of the coolest things to see the community come together on. And it was right before COVID, which I think made it a little bit more special in retrospect. People are upset about it, primarily, I think, because of the way it ended. And like, oh, we did all that for a weapon we fucking knew about. Like, so it led to Bungie not doing roadmaps anymore, remember?
Hmm.
But I don't think that it was in practice and in theory it wasn't bad.
Yeah.
That's I want to see things like that. Like I think back to the original Outbreak Prime, for
Yeah.
example. I think back to the binary. We talk about it all the time. We talk about sleeper stimulant. We talk about how Whisper of the Worm was uncovered. Give me some secrets like Whisper of the Worm and Outbreak Perfected in this world. Give
Yeah.
me things like this in this new destination. That's the kind of, and like you can just drop them in on like a weekly reset. Somebody will be playing and find it, and you're going to get so much buzz and praise that people will come running back to it.
Hmm. Yeah.
So I need to know overall what the year is going to entail before I get too excited. But that would be how Ronnie asked how we fix it. So we answered his question in a roundabout way here. That's how I would fix it, Ronnie.
Can
More
I
sustainable content.
can I ask you something? And this by no
Yeah.
means is
Yeah.
intended to be negative towards the talented people that are still working there, right?
Hmm.
But do you think, because whether it's because Luke Smith isn't there, or his team maybe has disbanded or got laid off or moved to Marathon or
Hmm.
what have you, that the talent that's there isn't really made for building puzzles but built for the gameplay instead? Do you think maybe that's why we don't get enough of these anymore?
So funny enough, I almost would go the opposite. So I think they stopped because they had to make a choice between fixing the story essentially or continuing to engage in these fun like side adventures. And it feels like they kind of went back to the drawing board with Frontiers before Luke got laid off last summer. I feel like some of this was set in motion by him, honestly. That'll be a conspiracy theory, I believe, till the day I die, that him and Joe Blackburn laid the blocks for this. But it's really, really important that we remember that the game director of Destiny 2 is a longtime Halo veteran.
Hmm.
Longtime Bungie vet, has been there, was behind some of the most beloved exotic weapons that we've ever had. It is very important to remember that. Like, this is somebody who understands Bungie culture, like
Hmm.
understands what Bungie likes to do in games and ARGs and this and that. I don't think it's a coincidence that Marathon had this big ARG push and now Destiny is getting something like that for the first time in forever, a big community puzzle. Because man, the reception has been so good. I need them to take the correct lesson away from this and be like,
Hmm.
oh, we need to invest in stuff like this. Like, I think back to some of the viral moments we've had over the years with this game. And like we brought up those secret and hidden missions, which they largely, came to an end after a while, right? They would just tease them after that. Imagine if we had just found Brassage.
Right.
Imagine if you had just found that. Uh I
Right.
think about things like that all the time, but one of the things I also think about is like how they started doing things outside of the game.
Hmm.
And you had, for example, like Dual Destiny is a great example. Dual Destiny just like kind of showed up,
Hmm.
and that was great. So you had Dual Destiny, but I think back to when the social media team claimed that Savathun was impersonating them and was breaking the fourth wall.
Hmm.
That was a great moment outside of the game, but that got people engaged. That got the entire industry talking about the game for like a straight week.
Yep.
And those are the kind of moments you need. Like, I have friends who have not played Destiny in a year or more who are so interested in this ARG that's going on and so interested in the chess game. And they got interested in stuff. They weren't even paying attention to Marathon. And then the ARG, pulled them in and the marketing for it and this and that. And they're like, oh, this is totally my vibe, which it's a total Josh game too, the vibe. Like the
Yeah.
aesthetic, the music, the graphics, the gameplay, etc. Like, it's all totally me, except for the fact that it's a fucking extraction shooter.
Hmm.
Um, but I think that there's enough. I think that the talented people who are there are determined to prove their chops and prove that, hey, not everyone got fired or laid off from here that made things special for you. A
Right.
lot of us are still here. We're still making something kick ass. Not everyone's laid off or on Marathon. We're still here and kicking.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. And again, I didn't mean that
Oh,
to
no, no, I know,
be
I
a
know
knock
you
against
didn't.
uh, the talent there. I just, it's just interesting to kind of think about the way the game has shifted in that way, and
Hmm.
just wondering if you know.
It's funny because you think they would lean into it more with how super, like, important everything is now. Like,
Mhm.
how the internet has like evolved in the social media age. Like, I would say especially over like the last 8 to 10 years over the course of Destiny. Like, look how much social media and the internet has changed as a whole.
Right.
I think there's a really unique opportunity here for Destiny to tell some very, very, very good stories about the when Destiny's always been something that's been about the dangers of, of hubris, of ego, of machine. Like, it's always been a cautionary tale in those regards. And you have such a special opportunity to do that here with with ARGs. And I'm not saying I don't need an ARG for every expansion. I certainly don't want that. That makes it unspecial. This was an awesome thing to find in game, though. Chess pieces just showing up randomly, and then, oh, there's a chessboard to interact with, and oh my god, we're getting frequency codes. There's 27 puzzles. We're getting frequencies in our own board. Oh, everyone, fire up the Google Docs again. We've got a puzzle to solve, and this and that. And it's one of the coolest things I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And I love when they do this because this is something that's so ingrained in Bungie's DNA, is these viral marketing stunts, or these stunts to get you talking about their games. Like, go all the way back to I Love Bees.
Hmm.
Halo 2, for God's sake. Dude, we've been doing that since Halo 2.
Yeah.
Like, you talk about like Bungie's marketing has always been amazing, and like ARGs fall under that. Like, we talk about the Believe trailers from Halo. We talk from Halo 3. We talk about Starry Night all the time. Remember, so many of us watched Monday Night Football just to see the Starry Night CG trailer. It was so cool. Like, the Believe diorama is still something on display at the Bungie offices
Yeah.
to this day. Like, just cool, unique things that they've done over the years. And like, think about like, and I mean, obviously they weren't doing it at this point, but like Halo's continued that tradition with things like Hunt the Truth.
Hmm.
So now to be getting something like this leading into the next saga for Destiny, I think it's really, really key for us to understand this is happening because it's leading into the next saga. I don't think you're going to get this for like every expansion. And I don't want to see this like once a year or anything, but leading into a new major story beat, I think is kind of a cool idea. I want more things like Whisper of the Worm and Dual Destiny to be discoverable in game as opposed to you telling me that they're coming.
Right.
Barodryad was a great step in that direction. An amazing step. You can play this entire season and never know that Barodryad is a thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's so fucking cool. And it's one of the coolest exotics we've gotten in a long time.
Yeah.
So, any final thoughts before we move on? We do have some other things we got to get to.
Yeah, let's get to the other things. We could talk about this stuff all day.
We really could. So tune in next week. We will have a reaction on Tuesday at some point, whether it's Tuesday afternoon or Tuesday night. We're not sure yet. We will figure it out and let you guys know in Discord.
Yeah, I'll if I have to, I'll skip Boss Rush podcast to do that.
All right. Let's go back. We gotta talk about last year's TWID, so we're gonna rewind real fast for something that I'm extremely excited about. Event homes are the replacement for event cards. Event cards are dead, Corey.
Thank God.
Post the Grant Gustin meme, posing on its grave. That's how I feel right now. So the first one that we're getting on May 9th. So May 6th, we're getting a sandbox update, which we're going to talk about here in just a minute. You're getting Rite of the Nine, and then at the end of the week, they're going to launch Heavy Metal, the Mechs versus Tanks mode. So event homes. Think of them as your cozy one-stop shop for all things events. Rotating challenges every day? Check. A new rank reward track? Check. A page to quick launch into the event activities and visit Space Grandma? Check. Page for the event title with your favorite event triumphs? Check. Brand new reward shop to fulfill your Chuck E. Cheese dreams of getting that top shelf prize? Checkity, check. All for free. All for free, Corey.
Free.
Every
What's the
event
catch,
home.
Josh?
Oh, I don't know. I'm sure we're going to get to it. Every event home offers a set of daily challenges that rotate at reset time every single day, and then one weekly challenge that resets, you guessed it, weekly. The first are bite-sized single objectives that can be completed in a short playing session, while weekly challenges are more of a midterm goal that require your attention for most of the duration of the event. Completing them will cover most of the experience required for the new event rank track. You still get experience when playing the event activities, of course, but challenges grant the most amount. Heavy Metal will come with its own event rank track with 15 ranks available to all players. Each rank has its own reward, like a weapon, emblem, or enhancement materials, and we believe these rewards alone make this new system more rewarding than our previous event cards, even on their premium version. I agree with this. Yeah, I definitely agree. You can see here they have a mock-up of the screen. There's a couple of just very quick 3 daily challenges, for example, here. Each of which will reward 7 things towards the XP. I don't know how many you need. I imagine you need 100 credits maybe to level up, or maybe it's 50 or something. I don't fucking know. But collect targets coins, complete matches with the Brig, defeat target leader, and then there's one that you can't read the whole thing of, but each of those rewards 7, and then the weekly rewards 53 as of right now. And right here, it looks like you got enhancement cores, you've got an engram of some kind, you've got what probably is an emblem, an enhancement prism, and or maybe that's a transmat effect, and then an emblem. I don't know, but that is page 1 of 3 for those. So I really like that. And I'm sure we're about to talk about this. Event tokens is a new currency obtained upon completion of daily and weekly challenges, with the latter granting a more generous amount. You can use these in the reward shop to purchase rewards during each event. Our way of making events more rewarding than ever before. Do not sleep on these tokens. They go away when the event is over. Reward shop will have rewards like weapons, materials, and a new item called Reroll Chip. This second type of currency can be used to re-roll one of your daily challenges. You will use these to accelerate your progress, as you can re-roll challenges you have completed already to get an additional daily one. You can also re-roll to get a different challenge if the one available doesn't fit your playstyle. Re-roll chips can be earned in the rank track, and then additional ones are available in Eververse for a small amount of silver. They do not expire with the event, so you can carry them over to the next event if you want. I will be stacking these personally.
Yeah, it seems like the way to go, huh?
Now, here's the thing that I'm very excited about here. Moving forward, event homes replace event card when a Destiny 2 seasonal event is live. Solstice, Festival of the Lost, Dawning, Guardian Games, and any other event coming will all have their own event homes filled with challenges to complete and great event rewards to earn. And again, no premium update required for it. All rewards, all earnable. As Edge of Fate launch date in summer of 2025 approaches, so is a new era of Destiny. We can't wait to tell you more about the many, many changes that will shake up your favorite video game and make the hobby evolve in the coming years. Event homes are part of that future, and you will get a first look when Heavy Metal arrives on May 9th. Corey, they have finally heard. I knew they listened. They only had to listen to 224 episodes of me complaining about fucking event cards and not earning. I just threw an arbitrary number out there. 237 episodes of me complaining about not having earnable shit during events. Oh my sweet baby Jesus. I need to see the proof in the pudding first with the first, like, when Solstice launches. Because Heavy Metal, let's be honest, that's not really going to give me a great indicator of how this is going to go.
You don't know that. It could.
I do know that, because this is for a PvP mode. This is not an actual event.
But it could be the greatest mode they've ever introduced into the game of all time.
It will not be. I promise you that. Pantheon exists, Corey. If this does look good during Heavy Metal, though, that'll actually get me interested in Solstice. Because those events have felt stale for a long time. Now you're telling me I can go purchase my own rewards? I'm going to check this shit out. That means if you're telling me that the rewards in here are going to be better than they previously were on the paid event cards, that means I'm expecting at least a shader, a transmat effect, an emblem, probably a ship, a sparrow, or a surfboard. I'm expecting an emote of some kind. I'm going to say it. I'm expecting weapon ornaments to show up in these. I've got high hopes for these. If you're telling me that each one of these is going to be better than a premium event card was in the past, maybe you take out the weapon ornament. Everything else is bare minimum what has to be in this, even as a free thing. Otherwise, I'm going to rip you for it again. Because it doesn't do me any good if it's free. I'm not going to shrug my shoulders and just go, oh, well, at least it's free now. Like, no, you said something really great there. You need to follow up on it. I think this just reflects what we've long thought. The numbers were not there for premium event cards. People were not buying them. And I can't blame them. So I'm interested to see what we ultimately get out of this. I'm actually a little bit interested in what could be happening with Solstice now, which is something I did not think I was going to be saying.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't think I have anything to add to that. That's pretty on
awesome.
point.
This is awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty great on paper.
On paper, it's great. We'll see if it actually follows through. Like everything else, we'll see what happens. We will watch your career with great interest, as Senator Palpatine once said.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
All right, but let's jump into the TWAB from this week. Because this is kind of a beefy one. We have patch notes, essentially.
Patch notes? What?
Patch notes. Real quick, I forgot to mention this about the Edge of Fate stuff. Edge of Fate stream will happen on Tuesday at 9 a.m. Pacific time. That is 11 Central, 12 Eastern. So tune into that. There is a special emblem that you get if you watch the stream for 15 minutes. Imagine that. This is actually a really cool emblem. I really like this. There is a heavy metal emblem you can get from watching content creator teams fight each other in this. Again, this is really cool. It's literally Briggs versus tanks on the emblem. I think that's cool. Let's talk about these sandbox changes, though, because there's some stuff here that we got to get to. Again, gonna run through and hit some highlights that I thought looked really, really good leading into this, and we'll see. You guys pull those up, read along with us. But Prismatic Soup, these are Crucible changes only first that we're going to hit. Prismatic Supers. Reduce Prismatic specific super cooldown penalty from 10% to 5%. So, oh boy.
oh boy, he says.
Scatter Grenade. Reduce Scatter Grenade damage versus players by 15%. Here's the one that I think a lot of us are really excited for. Hunter on the Prowl. The new Void aspect is too strong in PvP, and the utility needs more limitations to force more deliberate usage. Reduce PvP prey finding range from 45 to 25 meters, and reduced hunt time from infinite to 15 seconds. Infinite. I love that they had to say infinite. Like, they just acknowledged, like, yeah, this was busted as shit when we launched it, by the way. Warlocks, Lightning Surge. Clamped the variability of Lightning Surge damage against players and slightly increased the minimum damage dealt and reduced maximum damage dealt. But there are global updates coming to the Hunter, and oh boy, I'm actually very excited for this.
Oh boy, Josh is excited. Watch out, everybody.
This is going to be spicy. You guys know how much I absolutely adore my throwing stars on my Hunter.
What?
Withering Blade! Increase tracking strength by 20% and increase damage by 10%. Let's go! Why are there people cheering outside? What the
They're
fuck?
just as excited as you are, Josh.
Dude, it was perfectly timed. I'm just so happy. All throwing knife melees. Fixed an issue where throwing knives are not tracking correctly. Lightweight knife, which is the solar knife melee, increased tracking shape size by 10% and tracking strength by 20%. And then the fan of knives, which I'm a big fan of using as well, no pun intended, increased tracking shape by 15%. On the Prowl, we just nerfed it in Crucible, but we're gonna buff it a little bit too.
Jeez. Too much. Too much.
I think that so this is a global change, so I'm assuming this is still coming to PvP. Reduced prey finding cooldown from 0.5 seconds to 0.1 second. Ability energy is now granted instantly instead of over time. Jesus Christ.
Okay.
That's a thing. Oh boy. Oh, Jesus Christ. Okay. So we got some pulse rifles. We got some weapons to talk about. Pulse rifles, the legacy frame, which is the 450 RPM, that is Redrich's S-Stock and the BXR, the old battle rifle. Usage remains high on S-Stock. It's generally in line with where Rose and aggressive hand cannons have been near their peaks as shown in charts, with slightly higher usage but lower effectiveness. In our middle and lower skill lobbies, S-Stock continues to be an issue. We believe this problem is twofold: a lack of competition from auto rifles and other pulse rifles in terms of forgiving mid-range options, and the legacy frame offering slightly too much for the jack-of-all-trades players. Similarly, our solution will be two parts: reduce the ADS range of legacy frame pulses to match the damage fall-off scale currently used for high impacts, and buff a handful of other weapon types, such as rapid-fire pulses, high-impact and precision ARs, and heavy burst hand cannons, to provide more competition. So their solution isn't to nerf it, it's to buff everything else, and a lot of those are already very popular and very powerful. The ADS damage fall off scaler was adjusted by 0.1, by the way, from 1.7 to 1.6 to match high impact pulses, and they increased the BXR's airborne effectiveness stat from 10 to 21. So good luck, everyone. Have fun.
All right.
Rapid fire pulses have had their base damage buffed from 14.5 to 15, and precision damage from 27.6 to 27.8. I like rapid fire pulses, but I don't think that they needed another buff.
Yeah.
High impact auto rifles. Increased base damage by 4%. Body shot goes from 23 to 24, and crit goes from 41.4 to 43.2. And then precision. Increased base damage by 3%. And they have upped the body shot damage from 19.4 to 20, and then crit goes from 33.95 to 34. That just feels so insignificant to me. I think that's really silly, but heavy burst slug shotguns increased damage by 8%. So that Festival of the Lost shoddy you got and maybe kept, but probably sharded, is 8% more effective.
Great. 8%.
8%. Weapon perk updates. One quiet moment. This perk often runs counter to expected behavior in Crucibles. We split the buff into 2 separate stacks and allowed the first to activate quickly. Now it's 2 stacks, one that activates after 1 second of being out of combat for 50% of the bonus, the other at 2 seconds. I think that's going to be great in a maybe in a mode like it's not SWAT. Momentum control. And then Alacrity. It's nearly 0 uptime in non-trials Crucible playlists, so we wanted to give it some additional utility. Now activates at reduced effectiveness whenever a teammate dies. Reaches maximum effectiveness when 2 or more teammates are currently dead. And descriptions will be updated in later releases. But as always, you guys mainly care about the exotics. And oh boy, do we have some big ass changes coming here. Lord of Wolves has been an absolute beast in PvE for many months now. Both Atheon and Templar have been shaking their proverbial boots whenever Guardians ready their weapons for DPS phases.
The writing on some of this is so funny.
Dude, I very clearly feel like Dylan wrote this. We found Lord of Wolves was far outperforming where it wanted to be. We decided to let this ride for most of Heresy for a fun little meta time period. It's time to rein it in, though, with Ride of the Nine arriving soon. Reduced hipfire damage in PvE by 30%. Jesus Christ. 30%.
Jeez.
They sent it to the vault upstate, Corey.
Yeah. They sent it to first thing I dismantle when I'm cleaning my vault and buy another one later.
Pretty much. You're not joking. It was doing so much damage, I didn't even need to infuse it. I just pulled one for 7 enhancement cores. You know how many of those fucking cores I have? I have like 8,000.
Jeez.
You can't delete stacks of them either. Bungie, give me an option to delete stacks of enhancement cores. Please, my vault begs you. Truth and Two-Tailed Fox. Increase the amount of ammo picked up from ammo crates in the Crucible from 1 to 2, so Two-Tailed Fox will actually shoot 2 rockets now. Alathenum, creating an ammo brick, drained all of the weapon's energy, which prevented players from creating 2 special ammo bricks when at 100% energy. We've adjusted the cost of the special ammo brick to 50% to allow players to create another special brick if they desire. Cool. I like that. Finality's Augur. QOL changes to make it a smoother experience. Increase the duration that a target is painted to match the duration of the turret. The environmental target marker now marks additional targets that will enter the zone after its initial creation. Now grants automatic reload from reserves after deploying a turret. Reduce turret self-damage by 85% and increase the turret's damage by 10%. A good weapon gets even better. I'm very stoked for this. I need to go get the caddy. Very stoked for this. This is an awesome weapon. I personally have not used it very much, but A1 Johnny's been using it a lot. I've seen a few other people that I play with use it. And that thing is just awesome. I love it. I love seeing people use it. But, Corey.
Yes, Josh.
This is the one that everybody has been waiting for.
Oh, boy.
We're moving on to armor.
Oh, Radiant here we go.
Machines. Oh, boy.
Oh, jeez.
Due to differences between input devices, the current tuning for RDM continues to remain problematic on mouse and keyboard, while being significantly less effective on controller, the last word excluded, which has been addressed in the tuning specifically below. Usage reflects this, with RDM seeing 45% higher usage on mouse and keyboard. M&K already benefits from having significantly higher aim assist, accuracy, and stability while hip firing than controller does, and stacking those benefits with ones from RDM is allowing some weapons to perform outside their intended bounds. Long term, we want to investigate moving the 2 inputs to be more equal in terms of hip firing efficiency at base, but for now, we are going to significantly reduce the benefits granted by RDM. We believe these values will still allow players to engage in hip-fire combat, albeit at a much more limited range window, and with additional investment needed in the form of perks or mods to achieve a similar level of strength. In addition, so all hunters don't have hip-firing fun, we're going to grant the hip-fire range and accuracy benefits for primary weapons to an exotic on Warlock and Titan, which will be discussed below. Those exotics are Lion Ramparts and Lunafactions, by the way. So, I was in a lobby with some friends who were talking about this earlier. They're way more into the PvP scene than I am. I think we were all surprised, though, that they were saying that it's more problematic on mouse and keyboard than controller. This is basically a cheat code on a controller. RDMs are right now, which was the concern when they brought them in the first time, and that's why they got nerfed into the ground for years. So I don't know what we're doing here, guys. But reduced accuracy bonus for standard weapons by 60%, reduced aim assist fall off by 60%, further reduced accuracy bonus for custom tuned exotic weapons, including the last word, by an additional 25%. Jesus, they're looking into tuning down last word even more on mouse and keyboard. Although dodge uptime is already lower on RDM than it is with some other Hunter exotics, we want to reduce the class ability refund benefit just a bit in PvP to make it less of a focal point of the exotic. So reduce the amount of energy refunded for defeats against players when you do not have full class ability energy from 33% to 20% to align with the upper tier of the strategist perk. They're trying their hardest to run this into the ground, and I don't know if it's going to happen. I'm not saying any more needs to happen because I think this is a drastic swing for this, but holy God, something's gonna have to give, and I don't feel like I know it's oppressive on mouse and keyboard. I cannot personally believe that it is more oppressive on mouse and keyboard than on controller, especially when you're playing controller on PC. I do not understand that at all. That makes little to no sense to me. With my admittedly limited knowledge. So,
yeah. No.
I don't really have anything else to add to that.
Yeah, that makes yeah.
All right, we're almost at the end here, Corey.
Almost there,
which is good because my throat's starting to hurt. Lion Ramparts. Lion Rampart has long been a niche exotic, and it already dealt with the hip firing effectiveness. We thought it would be a great candidate for this buff. We're also adding airborne effectiveness bonus provided by the exotic to be active even when ADSing. So added the accuracy and range hipfire bonuses from RDMs to Lion Rampart for primary ammo weapons only. These hipfire benefits are always active, not just when airborne, and plus 50 airborne effectiveness bonus is always effective, not just when you are hip firing while airborne. That's awesome. You're going to see a lot more Lion Ramparts, I think. And then Warlocks are getting the exact same thing, and decrease the range bonus granted by the Empowering Rift by 50% in PvP only to reduce occurrences of extremely long-range kills with short-range weapons like fusion rifles and slug shotties. So, yeah, if you play Warlock or Titan, let me know what you think about Lion Ramparts and Luna factions. Write into the show and tell me, because I'm very curious to see how you guys are going to handle those. We have 3 new rewards coming with the Rite of the Nine update on Tuesday. We'd heard this was coming. I had actually forgotten about it till it got mentioned to me the other night. So I think this is kind of cool. Let's go ahead and talk about these really fast. First, we have a brand new Iron Banner weapon coming called Nature Reclaimed, a solar lightweight scout. And in the first column, you can get Killing Wind, Outlaw, Heel Clip, Lone Wolf, Rapid Hit, Shoot to Loop. And in column 2, you can get Desperate Measures, Kill Clip, Incandescent, Precision Instrument, Box Breathing, Explosive Payload. Holy God, am I excited for this. I am very excited. I am starting to stack up those Ingrams now because I am ready. I am ready for this. Immediately, I love Heel Clip. Rapid Hits, always old reliable, and Shoot to Loot. When I did Pantheon last year, I had my eyes open to how good Shoot to Loot is as a perk to have on your primary. Shout out to Oaken Dealer for and everybody who was doing Pantheon with me being like, you don't have a Shoot to Loot weapon? I was like, should I? And they're like, yes, you should. So now I tend to keep weapons with Shoot to Loot on it, including that new Lotus Eater rocket sidearm that we got this season that has Shoot to Loot on it. So I might have a non-optimal version of that purely for activities like Rite of the Nine and Pantheon. Trials, the Inquisitor Shoddy is coming back. That's of course the Arc Precision Slug Shoddy. It's going to come with, in the first column, Envious Assassin, Lone Wolf, Offhand Strike, Loose Change, Perpetual Motion, Slide Shot, Threat Detector, and in column 2, Bait and Switch, Closing Time, Cascade Point, Fragile Focus, Jolting Feedback, Opening Shot, Precision Instrument. It's really hard to not love a Slug Shoddy that comes with Slide Shot, Opening Shot. I think that jolting feedback could be really interesting on this, but yeah, if you're getting this for PvP, absolutely slide shot opening shot. That's a no-brainer. And then the Nightfall. This might be the one I'm most excited for, honestly. Cruel Mercy, which is an arc heavy burst pulse. It's an Amalon pulse, too, on top of that.
Ooh.
Column 1 is going to come with Dragonfly, Demolitionist, Eddy Current, Fourth Time's the Charm, Keep Away, and Lone Wolf. Column 2 is going to have Jolting Feedback, Adrenaline Junkie, Head Seeker, Frenzy, Kill Clip, and Desperado. Immediately, I love the idea of pairing Dragonfly with Jolting Feedback. Dragonfly Head Seeker is always fun. Kill Clip, Frenzy. Really, you can pair Dragonfly with anything on that second row. And then I think Fourth Times is the other one that I really like in column 1.
Mm-hmm.
This is really cool though. I really like this and the Iron Banner Scout. Again, like if these are the kind of weapon refreshes we can expect going through these new seasons, then I think maybe we have something, right? If we use this as a framework. But you can't just be like, oh, well, we're bringing back an old weapon from Trials before, blah, blah, blah. Like, no. We need to have some, if you're going to bring back a weapon from before for like Trials or one of these playlists, it needs to be introduced at the beginning of the season with a new weapon also, and then you do a brand new weapon partway through. That is how I would do this. That way there's always the excitement of I can go get a new piece of loot.
Yeah.
I think that's really important, and I love what they're doing here. So Nature Reclaimed will first be available starting May 20th when Iron Banner returns. You can get it as an end-of-match reward and from engrams you open. Of course, you can focus it at Saladin in the tower once you've earned it for the first time. For Inquisitor and Cruel Mercy, this is a cool thing, and part of this is because they won't have enough time to get them into the rotation. They would only get like 1 week in the rotation. We are trying something a bit different for the duration of Rite of the Nine and until Edge of Fate launches. Both will be available at their respective vendors. They will also drop as additional rewards when you finish a Trials match or a Nightfall activity. That also includes their Adept counterparts. Trials returns on May 13th for the first time, so winning on a 4-win streak can get you the featured reward Aisha's Care Adept, but also an extra Inquisitor Adept to go with it. Same thing in Grandmaster Nightfalls. For every Lotus Eater Adept you get on the week of May 6th, you will get a Cruel Mercy Adept. Have fun with extra loot, everyone. I love this. This is a great way to ensure people get their loot. It gets you playing Trials. It gets you playing Grandmasters when most of us have already gotten everything we want this season out of both activities. This is great. I was already going to go back in for more Lotus Eaters, so I love this. Please, God, let it be a super easy Grandmaster. I don't know what the rotation is currently on, but I am praying to God that this somehow ends up being Insight Terminus or Warden of Nothing. Let me tell you something right now. Because if it is, we're going to be drowning in Cruel Mercies, everyone.
Yeah. Drowning in them, everybody.
Drowning in them. I love it. I love it so much.
Deep breath. Drowning in them.
Deep breath. Drowning. So.
Fill up those lungs.
Yeah. Big fan. We have an emblem available from Asians at Bungie. Asian American Native Hawaiian Pacific Islander Heritage Month. AANHPI. And of course, there is an emblem that goes along with this. Everyone that makes a $10 donation to ICHS, which is a nonprofit healthcare organization based in Seattle and a leading voice in challenging anti-Asian hate. $10 donation to them through the Bungie campaign will give you the Harmonic Waves emblem. Through May 31st, 2025, all net proceeds will go to the ICHS. So, great cause there. Nice little emblem. I love it.
Yeah, the pin is back too. You like the pins?
The pins are back. The pins are, in fact, back. So, all right, Corey. We got a couple more questions to get to, and we've got the return of Lore Corner.
Lore Corner.
But
right after this.
We're doing questions first. Jiggly Panda writes in. My once in a blue moon sports question. How are both of you feeling about your team's respective NFL drafts? I was in Green Bay when the Browns picked Sanders and heard a lot of words from fans. Corey, I cede the floor to you because you know how I feel about him, and I gotta hear from you.
So, here's the thing. Okay.
Will you please remind the audience what the Browns quarterback room currently looks like?
So, yeah, I'm going to get there. So, the Browns, most Browns thing ever. Okay, so currently there are 5 quarterbacks in the Browns quarterback room. You have Joe Flacco, who will probably get the nod to start because he's been in the system before. I mean, he took us to the playoffs when we thought we were just going to be dead 2 years ago. He's the clear favorite to start. Earlier this year, we traded a third-string quarterback and a 5th-round pick for Kenny Pickett, the former Steelers starting quarterback and the backup quarterback of the Philadelphia Eagles last year. Then we have the I don't even know what to call him, Deshaun Watson, who will probably not ever play for the Browns ever again, but still on the roster because we owe him so much money. And then we drafted a quarterback in the 3rd round this year, Dylan Gabriel. Now, that would have been enough for me to scratch my head, Josh. But you know why it has me scratch my head? Because he's nothing like Joe Flacco or Kenny Pickett. He's small. He's left-handed. And he ran an offense that was totally unlike what the Browns run.
Mm-hmm.
So some people are comparing him to Baker Mayfield. I don't know. I haven't watched enough Oregon.
Feels extreme copium.
Yeah. I don't feel that way, but each their own, I guess. And then in the 5th round, we trade up. We trade 3 draft picks for Shedeur Sanders in the 5th round, which I would have said, okay, 5th round pick, take a flyer on him, whatever. But that means if he turns out to be good, you wasted that 3rd round pick that you could have used on an offensive lineman, on stacking up your defense, maybe grabbing a receiver that could fill the slot.
A fucking receiver?
Yeah. So, and if he's bad, right? Like, okay, you took a 5th round pick on him, but then
I don't mind spending the 5th round on him if he doesn't pan out.
No, I don't either. But like, if you cut him now, when the season starts, he has the 2nd highest pre-ordered jerseys in the league right now.
They won't cut him. I promise.
No, they won't cut him. You know why? Because he brings attention to the Browns, and that's how Jimmy Haslam operates.
This is the most soap opera thing since the Deshaun Watson signing.
Yeah, which was what, 3 years ago? Yeah. Thanks.
I don't know. The Browns have something every single season, I feel like, that happens. But when this happened, this was the most predictable Browns thing ever. You even said it to me last Thursday when we finished recording Xbox Casuals. You said, watch, the Browns are going to take Shedeur Sanders at some point.
Yeah. Yeah. You know what the crazy thing is? We could have had Travis Hunter and Shedeur Sanders.
I know. That makes it even funnier, honestly.
And we traded that pick to the Jaguars and picked a defensive tackle, which, granted...
I did not hate that pick for you.
Granted, I don't hate the pick, right? He's a great player, right? Michigan D-tackle. He's going to line up right next to Myles Garrett. They're going to pull all kinds of stunts. He's very quick for a 310-pound man, right? He's going to go great with Myles Garrett in about a year, I'm sure, after he matures and gets into that role.
Mm-hmm.
But Josh, the Browns, we took 2 running backs. Okay. We have 2 on the roster and are flirting with bringing Nick Chubb back.
That's a Seahawks ass draft right there.
Which, don't get me wrong, I love the running backs we drafted.
Mm-hmm.
If we didn't already have 2 running backs and signing a 3rd one. Just going to throw that out there.
Mm-hmm.
I do love the linebacker we drafted in the 2nd round from UCLA, I think. I hadn't ever heard of him until like they were showing tape. I'm like, oh my gosh, he's so fast. He's like a ball hawk. And if JOK comes back from that neck injury, which, linebacking core is going to be pretty good. But man, then you just look at some of these other picks. You're like, what are you doing? Like, why are you taking a left-handed quarterback? Why are you taking two quarterbacks that are now going to compete for each other? Like, okay, if one was a first-round pick and one was a fifth-round pick, you need quarterbacks for the future because we have a 41-year-old and Kenny Pickett on our roster right now, and clearly Deshaun Watson didn't pan out. Fine. Dude, they were less than 50 picks apart, man. So, I don't know. I guess, like, on paper, I think the Browns draft was pretty good. But when you take into consideration all of the drama, all of the question marks at when and how they chose these players, there's a 15-minute segment of the Rich Eisen show, if anybody's interested, that you should look up, of him just breaking down the Browns draft and how utterly ridiculous and confusing it is.
Can I just say my only hope out of all this is that we get Hard Knocks, but specifically only focused on the Cleveland quarterback situation?
Here's the thing, Josh. The Browns are right at the cutoff to where they can say, no, we don't want to participate, because they've participated in the last 7 years at some point.
So I think they actually changed the eligibility requirement this year.
They didn't, because they were talking about it on the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show, which is the sports show I was.
Interesting.
They did change it.
Well, we all know that Haslam loves attention, so.
And guess who his wife works for? The production company of Hard Knocks. Shocking.
So.
Which is why they were on the very first season, by the way.
Let me tell you something. I am absolutely floored at my team's draft in a good way. We got an A rating from just about everybody, including Mel Shedeur Sanders Kiper Jr.
Oh my God, dude. What a nut job, man.
What a fucking nut job. They kept him over Todd McShay. Keep that in mind, everyone. I'm just going to fly through this real quickly. I love the first round pick that we got, Gray Zabel. He's an offensive lineman out of North Dakota. Absolutely love that. That's a home run pick. He's going to be an instant starter for us. Nick Emawari from South Carolina will probably start right away. We took him number 32 overall. We traded up to get him, which I was terrified with both of those picks that we were taking Shedeur Sanders. I'm not even going to lie to you. I was absolutely terrified. I did not want Shedeur on this roster after we just paid Sam Darnold. We bafflingly at number 50, we took a tight end. We do not need a tight end on this roster. I don't know why the fuck we did this. We have Noah Fant.
We took a tight end too. I really like the tight end we drafted.
But the pick that I really love here, I'm very excited about this one, because this is the definition of an all or nothing pick. Either he's going to be incredible and we're set up for years to come, or he's going to be terrible and we're going to draft another QB in like 2 or 3 years. Jalen Milroe out of Alabama. I'm actually really excited about the potential upside there. I don't think he's like incredible, but I mean, we all thought the same about another round 3 quarterback at one point who led us to a Super Bowl in his 3rd season. So 2nd season? Might have been his 2nd season. 2nd or 3rd season leads us to the Super Bowl. So I've got hopes, man. And it's funny, that story followed a very similar deal. Gave a huge deal for a largely unproven NFC quarterback who was a career backup, NFC North quarterback, and then gets supplanted in preseason. So we'll see if this happens. I don't think it will with Mike McDonald, but it could. Just very excited. They took a couple of wide receivers here, Torrey Horton out of Colorado State and Ricky White III out of UNLV. We took another running back for whatever reason. We took a fullback. I don't remember the last time we had a fullback on our roster.
I don't remember the last time anybody had a fullback on our roster.
Kyle, what's-his-face, out in the 49ers. He's been there for 13 years, I think.
Yeah.
The only team he's ever played for. He was supposed to get traded, I think, and like his wife was absolutely devastated over it.
What? I remember that. Like they weren't going to re-sign him. He was entering free agency because they wanted to pay him less. Or they wouldn't pay him at least the level he was being paid currently.
Yeah.
And so to stay, he agreed to take less money, I think was the I remember this story
Yeah,
now.
he got released on March 11th and then got re-signed on the 18th or on the 19th. But yeah, other than that, don't have too many thoughts. Honestly don't watch as much football as I used to. I'm like full-time basketball right now.
Mhm.
Basketball playoffs are going on. I'll process the NFL once the NBA finals are over. Well, really, once the NBA draft is over. It's WNBA time though. Paige Buchers is in Dallas, and that's all that matters.
Mhm.
So that's all I care about.
Cleveland's bringing the Rockers back in 2028 or something.
Jesus. But yeah, no, I'm excited. I'm watching some hockey. The Stars currently up 3-2 in their series. I'm excited. I'm trying to find anything other than basketball to occupy my sports moments at this point.
That
Jiggly
is
Panda
fair.
asks another question and says, I have to ask, but how soon do you think we'll see a Marathon Destiny crossover in both games? This might
When
surprise you.
Marathon launches.
It has already happened. Mida Multi-Tool is related to the Marathon franchise. I know, in addition, we also got Marathon-themed armor with the 30th anniversary pack. I know that's a cop-out, but that's the answer you're getting. In all seriousness, though, you are probably going to get this within like the first 6 months of Marathon being out. I'd be shocked if there was not something like right away. I'd be floored. And I mean going beyond just the emblem you can already get. I would be shocked if there wasn't something else that they did, like a weapon skin or something.
Yeah.
An armor set maybe with that second refresh, with that first real like refresh that we're going to get.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I would imagine. You're probably going to get like an armor ornament set or like a gun skin or something like that. I can't imagine that they don't do that. They want, because that kind of lines up perfectly with the game coming out too.
Mm-hmm.
And they're gonna want something because these are both games. I'm also like totally convinced that Marathon doesn't get delayed, but I'm gonna save those thoughts for next week's Xbox Casuals after the alpha has concluded. I'm still holding out hope I might get in.
I know. I'm kind of surprised it's as closed as it is.
I'm not. After all the reporting we got from Tassie, I'm not too surprised, honestly. I thought they were going to open up it a little bit more towards the end, but they definitely did not.
Yeah.
And then Fox asks another question to us. Of all the soundtracks throughout Destiny history, what is the best and why is it Rise of Iron? Well, it's not Rise of Iron. I'll answer that for you.
I mean, Rise of Iron's pretty good, though.
It's not Rise of Iron. Rise of Iron doesn't even make my top 3. Super unpopular opinion. It does not make my top 3.
I'm not going to lie to you. I don't know. I think Deepstone Crypt is the best thing they've ever done.
Yeah.
I love Deepstone
For an
Crypt.
individual track, I think Deepstone Lullaby is definitely one of the more iconic ones. I think it's one of the better ones because it was so unexpected.
Mm-hmm.
For me, I think the actual best soundtracks in, like, if I had to do my top 3, I'd probably put Final Shape in there. I think I'd probably put Beyond Light in there because you get all the Deepstone music in it.
Mm.
My number 1, though, and I can't believe I'm going to say this, Vanilla Destiny 2 is my absolute favorite. It has my 2 favorite tracks in the entire franchise in it, which Journey, which is the iconic music that plays as you leave the city.
Mm-hmm.
While it's on fire, and then it's you get the remix of it playing while you take the city back.
Mm-hmm.
That is one of my all-time favorites, and I've said this repeatedly before, but the music that plays when you first load it into the tower after that, which they have actually brought that music back recently, it's a track just called The Last City. To me, that is, if you had to put Destiny into one musical theme, like the feeling that I get when I hear that music in the tower, and I felt after seeing the Traveler awaken, it's this just powerful moment. You've just seen the Vanguard talking on the tower, and you've loaded into the new tower for the first time, and the music starts playing, and you're seeing the Traveler hang over the city with all the debris swirling around it. It's awoken and everything else. It's just such a powerful moment that is ingrained into my brain. That piece of music has just followed me for like 6-7 years now. That is like, when I tell people, like, there are certain games where when you hear a track, you feel all the feelings of that game. Like Final Fantasy VII, it's like one of them is One Wing Angel, right? And then there's the Tifa theme. Like those are instantly iconic, I think. when you think of a game like Halo, you think of that menu music, but you also think of the music that always plays, like when you do the Maw or when you do the final Warthog run of Halo 3.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the like everyone knows what that is. Like for me, The Last City is obviously not as iconic as those, but that and Journey are those moments for me in Destiny. In terms of where, like, when I hear those, I remember all the emotion I felt when I did those missions for the first time. And that's something that I think they've really been missing in some of these later musical releases. Like, yeah, Deep Stone Lullaby is awesome. And I'll always remember my first time doing Deep Stone Crypt and hearing that, just thinking like, oh my God, this is a gorgeous piece of music. But man, and it's no coincidence that two of my favorite video game pieces of all time come from Bungie games. Like, it's no coincidence. Michael Salvatore, man, what a gem of a man.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, that's my answer.
Uh,
I controversially did not care as much for the Destiny 1 music.
hmm.
I don't know if you could tell that by the way I talked about Rise of Iron or not.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna lie to you. I couldn't really tell you which music it's from which. I don't really listen to the soundtrack all that much, to be honest with you. I'm not a music person, and I know I'm terrible. I'm a fake gamer person. Fine. Uh, so I mean, I still think Deep Stone Lullaby might be my favorite.
Sure.
I think the weirdest thing they ever did was that weird music video they did with John Lennon, Paul McCartney on the moon.
Oh my God! Hope for the Future.
Yeah.
Can I say that finding that in the Fallen nightclub in Forsaken was just an all-time moment?
Yeah.
Hearing that play over the speakers, it's great. It's like a perfect meta moment.
Yeah, it's very very strange, but very cool. So yeah.
All right. Well, our final question is a request for what will be tonight's lore corner.
Lower corner.
Ronnie has requested that we talk about the Division sidearm, not the game, but the sidearm, as well as Afterlight, which is the seasonal fusion. We're gonna do Afterlight tonight. The Division, I need to read a little bit more of Division and of the seasonal lore. Also, as I said earlier in the show, I kind of want to wait until after the reveal. Maybe we get an idea of like what the new force is at play here, and might shed a little bit of light on the Division sidearm. So we're gonna put a pin in this, and we're gonna come back to it maybe during the reveal discussion, because I have a feeling that this is going to play in, just like a lot of other people do. So Afterlight, God, first time we've done a lore corner in forever. Best part of having been inside the Traveler, I've got an argument to win. Peach the Ghost. Daylight falls into Osiris's workshop from its high windows. Saint 14 has a habit of opening them to let in fresh air. Then Osiris shuts them. Then Saint opens them again. Peach spends her time well within city limits these days. She's watched this domestic routine play out plenty of times from the outside. It's a solid comedy routine even at a distance. Now she'd like to see it up close. She slips through the window and floats on down. There's a glowing green string stretched between Osiris's hands, a little row of delicate blue icicles slowly forming along it, like Ikora Ray's dawning decorations on a miniature scale. Peach drops further down until she's at Osiris's shoulder. The ice cracks, the string snaps, Osiris sighs. Peach can't help herself. You'll get it next time. Osiris waves a hand like he's trying to brush away a butterfly, and then spins around in sharp, convulsive motion. You're not. Who are you? He's gone almost the same color as his bandana, and it doesn't look great. Are you having a heart attack? Do I need to get someone? Peach doesn't know first aid. It's never come up. No. Who are you? How did you get in? I'm Peach, Peach says. She adds generously, I'm famous. You can look me up. If you're not having a heart attack, can I watch you play with darkness?
Yeah.
Why? Because lately, Peach keeps thinking about all the things that can happen to a ghost out in the world, all the powers she can't do anything about, but that's no fun. Academic curiosity? No. Get out. Osiris points to the closed door. All right, be like that, Peach says and blinks out of the visible spectrum. No need to show Osiris how she got in, not when she means to come back later. This is the start of something beautiful, or at least entertaining. I think this is a really interesting look because Osiris, like, he's the mastered strand guardian. He has to master the strand.
Strand.
Strand. And we know that you don't need a ghost to be able to do strand and stasis. So I find it very interesting that him and Zavala are both kind of in the same boat here, trying to learn new powers, obviously. But Ronnie specifically asks, could the tangles we see in the Edge of Fate teaser theory be stasis and strand that is actually talked about here working? That's question number one. And I think it's definitely possible because we have to have an evolution of them at some point. We haven't really gotten anything new with stasis since it came out. We've gotten like one new aspect, I think, and that's about it. And it's been almost 5 years. It'll have been 5 years this fall. I think it's high time that we got more for stasis. I've been very clear about wanting more for stasis and for strand. Strand, it's already been, 3 years.
Yeah, they fixed the problem where you the aspect problem, right?
2 years. It's been 2 years. Yes, I believe so.
Because I think you can pile that.
So I think it would be really cool if you had, even if it was an interaction within Prismatic, I could be really cool if we got some grenade abilities or not grapple, but melee abilities that combined stasis and strand as opposed to strand and void or stasis and fire or things like that. I think there are some really, really cool opportunities here that you could do. I would love a mechanic that when you grapple to somebody or pull something close to you with maybe a melee attack, you do a shivering strike or something to freeze them. That could be a really cool move. I do definitely think that there's room for it, and I do think that we are going to get more. This could be laying those seeds. And then Ronnie also asks, will Osiris have a ghost again? I think that's a bit more of an interesting question because, man, we know that ghosts can choose their partners, essentially, right? Peach is a ghost that, for the record, has not shown up in the lore since Forsaken. They showed up in Forsaken. They were mentioned in Season of the Wish, and then they're in Final Shape also. Because that is actually the first guard. That's the first ghost that the Guardian goes to find in the Micah 10 missions.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that this is really, really, really intriguing about what you could do. Because Peach is kind of a cynical ghost, which you wouldn't get from that lore that we just read, right? But a direct quote from Peach is if I never find my guardian, I'll go steal someone else's. I hear Sagira had a good time with that. That's kind of great. I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
So it's very interesting because one of the first, well, really the first time that we see from the ghost stories, one of the ghost stories that we get is Peach talking with Balthazar about it. So that's interesting to me. I don't think it's a coincidence that uh she mentions Sagira in this exchange, because one of the questions that Peach and Balthasar are asked in this quote unquote interview, very Giso Calorando vibes over here. I shall find a guardian, the traveler has willed it so. Peach, did you get that in writing? Balthazar, it is true that some ghosts die before finding their partners. If that happens to me, then I suppose I will do nothing, since I will no longer be. But I have faith. Peach, if I never find my guardian, I'll go steal someone else's. I hear Sagira had a good time with that. I do think that that line alone really makes me think that Peach is going to end up at least as a character on screen with Osiris. Maybe not actually be Osiris's ghost, but it would be really cool because I think that would be kind of the final part of the healing journey for Osiris after his grief of losing Sagira.
Yeah.
Which we've seen him, wrestle with for years now.
Yeah.
I think that would be kind of a fitting end to that. Like, I kind of thought we put that whole arc to rest on Neomuna with the statue of Sagira in the Hall of the Fallen.
Yeah.
But I think this would be a really, because I mean, when I think about the kind of character that Sagira was, when I think about her relationship with Osiris, she was really Osiris's compass in a lot of ways after Saint went missing.
Mm-hmm.
And the bond that they had was so incredibly strong, maybe the strongest that we've ever seen between a ghost and their guardian. Like, our ghost doesn't count, but probably the strongest depiction we've ever seen on screen. And I thought that was really, really, really cool. I thought it was a special moment. I would really like to see Osiris move on past that and recognize that he still has work to do, that he's still blessed by the light, and him realizing that he can wield the light again, and it's what Sagira would have wanted.
Mm-hmm.
So we definitely have not seen the last of Peach. It's not a coincidence that Peach was in the final shape, got a lore piece, and now is getting another one where she directly interfaces with Osiris after saying, well, Sagira stole a guardian, so I can do that too. Well, Osiris is technically a former guardian. Osiris doesn't have anybody. And we have seen this happen before in the lore.
Mm-hmm.
Never forget, Jaren Ward's ghost bonded to Shin Malphur. That's how Shin got the light for the first time.
Yeah.
So, like, it said that when they entered the village, Jaren's ghost instantly went to Shin, was instantly drawn to him. And after Jaren Ward was murdered, his ghost went to Shin and became his partner. So, yeah, there's precedent for this happening. And it's really fucking cool that this could happen.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
And it would be fitting, like, Saint finally is here, is whole. It would be fitting.
Yeah, it's definitely more of a happy ending than when we thought Saint might give Osiris Geppetto and sacrifice himself at some point.
Yeah, which I never really bought into that. If anything, I felt that Geppetto was going to go to Mithrax.
Yeah.
So, but, well, hey, that's all kind of been ruined too, so.
Jeez.
Yeah, thanks a lot, guys.
Jeez.
So, all right. I think that's going to do it for us. Get us out of here, Corey.
Yeah, that's going to do it. I want to thank everybody for watching and or listening to this episode of Tower Casuals. You can find us every other Friday on your podcast service of choice.
Longest show in a hot minute.
Yeah.
Almost 2 hours.
It was a good one, though. It was meaty. It was quite beefy. Look for us this coming Tuesday, for the reveal breakdown discussion. Josh, thank you for your time tonight, as always. Join the Discord. You can follow us on social media at Tower Casuals. Like, subscribe, share, rate, and review wherever you listen. Until next time, we love you. Goodbye.